Now, a quick disclaimer before I get into anything else. I want to just, preface this whole series and stuff by telling you guys I am by no means a professional in any way whatsoever. I'm not even that experienced as far as even, airbrushing and stuff like that goes. I'm pretty good at can spraying, but as far as airbrushing goes, I mean, I've only done a couple kits, so, yeah, I mean, you guys are just along for the journey, and I'm, if you're looking at me for, advice and stuff, I'll help you as best as I can, but otherwise, I really don't want you guys to, like, put me up on, like, a pedestal and kind of, like, assume that I'm this professional who knows a lot about airbrushing or modifications or anything like that. I mean, I'm learning and, kind of doing everything on the fly just as much as you guys, so I'm merely trying to just document my journey and just kind of share the process of learning and becoming a better modeler, and sharing with you guys. And that way, like 5-10 years down the line, I can look back at these videos and see how far I've come and see, what kind of things I've been doing wrong and what kind of things I got right. I don't know. So, yeah. Okay? Bye. Alright guys, I think what I want to do is kind of just show you how I go about mixing paints and stick them into, easy to use, bottles like that. So, I mean, here I have Mr. Color 331 in dark sea gray, handwriting's terrible, but so pretty much like you can pick these up at any like drugstore or I guess art supply store, I suppose. Just as long as you can find a way to make them airtight, because thinner will eventually dry out and stuff. So you want to make sure that you can find a way to make it as airtight as you possibly can. So here I'm gonna take a bottle of Gaia Notes. A pretty general rule as far as thinner to paint ratio is probably just about 1-to-1. If you want a little bit more of a shine, I suppose you can kind of go with maybe 1 being paint and the second ratio number being to thinner, maybe 1 to 0.8, I suppose. But I mean, so I learned this from a guy in a different city, and I took one of his courses actually. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking some lacquer thinner and I'm kind of like swishing around in the bottle, and I'm kind of doing it for 2 reasons. The first being to obviously clean the inside of the bottle, and the second is because I'm gonna take this paint and I'm gonna stick it inside the bottle. I don't want the dry surface to adhere to the raw paint on the bottle. So what I'm doing is I'm switching around with lacquer so that there will actually be like a thin layer of lacquer on the inside of the bottle. That way the paint's not exactly gonna stick to the sides of the bottle, which is gonna give you something not pleasant like this. If you can see all that, all the paints and flecks, sticking to the sides of the bottle, that's pretty much what you're going to get. And if it dries, you're going to be shit out of luck, because of the simple fact that it's possible that some of these dry flecks you're going to get into your airbrush and shoot out into your surface that you're painting. So you want to make sure that that there's as minimal drying of paint as you possibly can. So this is that's a pretty good example of, it's a little transparent, which is good, and there's not there's not a whole bunch. As long as you shake it once in a while, it's not gonna really dry. So that's a pretty good example. But usually anything with flecks or metallic pieces is gonna look like this. There's nothing you can do about it, but yeah, I mean, this is metallic black and it just kind of sticks to the sides like that. But what are you gonna do? So anyway, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take out the thinner inside this bottle. Just give it a good shake over one more time. I'm gonna take out this thinner because it's obviously not gonna be clean. I'll just put it on my box here because it's gonna dry anyway. Alright, and what I'll usually do is I'll put like thread tape right on the nozzle and on the actual bottle so that you know, none of the thinner will actually leak out or anything. Anyway, so we'll take that out. Now what you want to do is you're going to take your paint. I like the fact that Gaia Notes actually has, you know, a really good way of sealing their paints. It's, you know, quality is shown in price. So you take out the, you know, the stopper or whatever you want to call it, and pretty much because it's paint, it's obviously going to settle. So, you know, you take like a paint stirrer or something, just kind of mix it up a little bit. Oh yeah, it's kind of hard down there. And you just kind of swirl it around, swish it around. I know my hands are really big, so it's probably going to be kind of hard to see over these big bear claws of mine, but you know, you just kind of swish it around, you know, make sure you get the sides. And a simple idea as far as trying to pour this stuff down without spilling anything is if you stick the, you know, you can do it with a toothpick or a Q-tip, doesn't matter. If you stick the you know, whatever apparatus that you have against the actual bottle, I don't know if you can see that, against the actual bottle, it'll flow down with it, so you don't have to worry about it, you know, dropping or, you know, flowing down in a funky direction that you don't want it to go. So because it's a 1-to-1 ratio, I found that the easiest way to measure is to fill up the bottle again. So, you know, you fill it up to where the paint was before. It's a little under. There we go. And then this serves two purposes. You don't want to waste any paint because, I mean, freaking Gaia Notes is ridiculously expensive. I mean, I picked this up for, I think it was like 300 yen or something like that in Japan. So, I mean, the first reason why you do this is obviously to not waste any paint. And the second one is obviously because you can measure it without, you know, making mistakes or anything like that. It's a pretty simple idea. So again, same thing, just mix it around and then you just pour it into the bottle. What I'll sometimes do is I'll stick the cap back on, because there's usually some paint right here on this like lid here. So I'll stick the cap back on and then I'll just kind of shake it around because it's just thinner. And then, you know, it'll get all the paint on the sides and on the lid and all that stuff, and then you can just pour it right in. See, the cap's fairly clean, got all the paint off there. And then same thing, you take your stick and put it against the bottle, and it'll flow down the bottle. So yeah. Now as far as that bottle goes, I'd say that's fairly clean. So you know, no wasted paint, and you got a pretty, you know, generally accurate measurement, and into the recycling you go. Yeah, and then take your bottle cap, switch it around, because obviously the raw paint is down on the bottom. Take the thinner, just and I made the mistake of forgetting to label one of my paints, so I had to go through the garbage and figure out what paint that was. So, and you label. So this is Gaia Notes 125 Star Bright Iron. It's a metallic paint, so pretty simple. I put 125, 125 Gaia Star Bright Iron. Stick that on the bottle. Sometimes you can put, you can put a date on it to, make sure that you know when you mix this paint. So, I mean, you got all your colors here. They're all in nice, easy to use bottles. You don't have to mix a little bit at a time. But it's a pretty good investment, I think. I mean, these bottles don't cost that much. They're like 50 cents a pop. So, yeah, I mean, that's about it as far as this goes. I'm gonna continue on spraying on the Star Bright Iron. So far, I've done I've done Guy Notes German Gray, Mr. Hobby Metallic Black. I'm gonna do the Gaia Notes Star Bright Iron, and I did a IPP Gunmetal. It's a Korean brand of paint here. Oh, and I forgot Mr. Color 331 Dark Sea Gray, which is gonna be the bulk of the colors that I did as far as this kit goes. So, yeah, we'll keep going, and that's all she wrote as far as this goes.